HIIT, high intensity interval training. What is an interval training? There's a period of work, there's a period of rest. So before, when exercises were done in a continuous manner, the beneficial changes were different. So when exercises were performed at a higher intensity and frequently given, possibility of the beneficial changes seemed to be more. So that went in for athletic population to prescribe interval training as a tool. So what was available in the athletic population as interval training was introduced into the fitness group. The exploration and explosion of this interval training being brought in because people have less time and want the same result. They didn't have the time to continuously exercise for more than half an hour. They want to see results much earlier, or they can do work for a short time and still get the benefits of the long-time term training. So that's where the high-intensity interval training program came about. So when we are using a high intensity, you're using an anaerobic work. That is, you're using an exercise where you're not dependent on the oxygen that you inhale, you're dependent on the local stores. So you deplete the local stores and then again you allow them to form. So when the high intensity exercise is going to be more and you're going to work for a short time only, you can't work for a long time. Where the intensity is low, the duration is more. Where the intensity is high, the duration is short. So in a high intensity interval training program, you're having a high intensity and short duration. So individuals who can get the benefits with 7 or less than 10 minutes of workout, who can't do 30 minutes of continuous activity, which is what we prescribe, found that it can be useful for them. That's all I can give and still derive that. That's how the high intensity interval training program. It can be a run, it can be a swim, it can be a cycling, it can be a on the punching bag, it can be circuit training, it can be a plyometric work, it can be any form of training that is having increasing your heart rate for a short period of time and demanding the muscular activity in an explosive manner. This is understood. Again, as I said, the prescription is clear. First of all, you should have the muscular strength to be able to do the high intensity interval training. Just because somebody is introducing a high intensity interval training, muscular strength is inadequate, you may not be able to reach it. So build your strength before you can start your high intensity interval training. If strength training is inadequate, the possibility of injury, pain, issues there, delaying your continuation of the program. Okay, it's fantastic tool, and still we are understanding how it could reduce the weight of the individual, because if we are constantly using it, the replenishment of the anaerobic work, when you are doing any work anaerobically without oxygen, replenishment comes from the aerobic group. That's why you are breathing hard after the anaerobic work. So when we are repaying that oxygen, where does this glucose or energy that can be drawn? That can come from a fat source or a glucose source. Glucose stored in the liver, fat stored in all the parts of the body except the brain. There are various categories. Except the brain, we can store fat anywhere. The neural tissue alone cannot store. Now, whether we will remove it from the fat or from a muscle, that's a question. Depending on the individual, their constant repetitive training, it cannot happen in a single practice session. It has to be a regular practice. Another important thing, regularity of any exercise is vital. If you want to do an activity for a short period of time, beneficial changes can be seen in less than 15 days of any activity. You can start seeing benefits only then. But most of us do an exercise and look in the mirror or go on a weighing scale whatever you see changes need not be what you thought is happening. So please don't go by a short-term goal. Ensure the long-term goal is kept in mind and you are carried to that phase through a clear understanding of science. Otherwise, we are drawn into a doubtful or a controversial sector where science may not be able to assist you. Then you lose hope. Do not do that.